Today we're checking out a video about 19 things that this guy wishes he knew before he visited Istanbul, which is good for us if we're ever going to visit Istanbul. We need to know what we need to know.
Yeah, it's gonna be a place, we haven't been to before, so we gotta know things. We gotta learn the tips and tricks and trades for everything need to know to travel there, right?
We don't want to just be stupid people walking around Istanbul not knowing what we're doing.
Yeah, we'll just be stupid people, but we'll know a little bit about what we're doing.
Exactly. So let's jump into it. See what he says. Here we go.
And these are the things that I wish I knew before I came and spent the last month and a half here in Istanbul. First tip that totally tricked me up the first night. There's something called Galataport, and if you're a cruise ship person come through Istanbul, that's where you're gonna dock. And the place seems so nice, but avoid that place like no other. That place is just a tourist trap. Everything's really expensive. The restaurants are no good. Get as far away from the Galataport as you can. So that's tip number one. Second thing is, this is a crazy
general thing with like any city you go to. If you want to go to like the fancy area, it's gonna be a scam probably.
Yeah, wherever the nice boutique hotels and hostels are or something in the center, and like this one center, yeah.
The restaurants aren't going to be as good as the stuff outside of it.
Loud city, and so just bring earplugs.
Loud city, we're used to that.
Towards the end of this video, I'm going to talk about which areas of town I recommend staying in if you're trying to avoid some of that. But yeah, just make sure that you have some earplugs if you are that light sleeper. And also make sure to pack really good walking shoes. This city is really spread out. It takes a long time to get from one point to another, and most of the time you're going to be doing walking, and there's a lot of hills. So you're dealing with the cobblestone streets, going up hills. I don't know. It can be a real challenge, so make sure that you have the proper footwear. But if you don't want to do all the walking, I highly recommend you actually utilize their public transportation system, because it is great. They have like the metro, they've got like their subway version thing, these carts, they have the ferries. Cool. I mean, it's really, really well connected, and that's really the best way to get around. And just get yourself one of these when you come in. It's called the Istanbul cart, and you can basically get them outside of any ferry port or metro line. I think it costs like $2 to actually get the card, and then you can just load it up with as much as you want.
That's nice that you can use that for boats too.
Some money. If you want to be on the water and take a boat tour, you can if you want to, but if you're looking to save some cash, don't, and instead utilize this card and just take the ferry over to the Asia or European side. Whichever place you're staying on, go to the opposite. But basically the ferry ride, they're like 50 cents. They're fantastic views. They're running all day. You can hop on them from like any point. Really great views, really comfortable, and it's just a much cheaper way to do things. Like 50 cents, that's a steal. I guess you've got to come back. So $1, but who wouldn't want to spend $1 for a boat ride and kind of feel like you're living like a local? So definitely save some money there and do that. Another tip that I recommend for everybody is you can actually download Google Maps, and this is a pretty important city to do that in, mainly because the Wi-Fi is a bit spotty. This isn't really one of those cities where it's like, yeah, just go down the main road and turn left. No, there's going to be a lot of turns and tricky navigations. There are a lot of tight, super cute streets, but things can get confusing. So you're
man, that looks like the place to walk around right there. That's cool.
Who even needs Google Maps? So getting lost is the fun part, right?
Good luck getting back to your hotel, but at least you're having fun.
You're going to want a map, and if you're wanting to make sure that you always have connection, I definitely recommend an eSIM called Airlo. I used it here for the last month and a half.
I'm sensing an ad right now.
Multiple times, so I'll leave a link in the description so you can try that. If you're not familiar with an eSIM, it's basically a way of getting a SIM card. It's just giving you a download before your trip. Other people talking about it, so job taking care of the cats that they dogs and birds. And the locals do such an incredible job taking care of the cats that they leave food out everywhere so all of the cats are fed. And that is awesome. Two things happen with that though. One, the dogs also eat all the food. So there's a lot of poop around on the ground, but it's not the poop on the ground that you're looking out for. It's actually coming from the sky, because the birds, they eat everything as well, and these birds are massive.
Dang seagulls.
Big birds mean really, really big poops. So I hope that you have better luck than me and can avoid getting pooped on, but maybe just have some wet wipes in your bag so you can wipe yourself off when it does happen. So
that would be very, very
crossed for you.
It would be.
If you're coming ready to experience the coffee, definitely experience it. Note that it's not going to be quite the coffee that you've experienced in other countries. It's very different, but also note that tea is actually the primary drink here in Turkey. While Turkish coffee is awesome in its own disgusting ways, in my opinion, the tea is really good, and that's what most people are drinking all the time. They come in these awesome cups. It's really satisfying to drink out of, so be ready for a lot of tea and coffee. This next one's a small tip, and it doesn't really matter, but just something to be prepared for. There's definitely a lot less English spoken here amongst the locals than other European countries. So be prepared for a lot of Turkish, which is a tough language to
I expect them to speak English.
Maybe in Istanbul you'd think there'd be more, but it's actually surprising. At least at the restaurants, maybe. I am curious. Maybe it's just depends on where you are in the city. But a lot of tourists go to Istanbul.
As long as they don't get too upset that we can't speak their language, I don't care if they can't speak ours. You know, we'll manage.
We've been to China.
Yeah, China.
Shouldn't have too much of an issue communicating with folks, but don't be expecting everybody to be able to understand all of your English. So unless you're awesome and actually know Turkish, just be prepared to slow down the dialogue just a little bit when talking with some of the locals who don't know English quite as well. And another thing to note is when you're going to the mosques, because you should definitely check them out. They are so beautiful. Two big tips here. One, they're free, but make sure to get there as early as possible in the day. I tend to recommend getting there around like the 9:30, 10 a.m. mark for two reasons. One is that you'll beat most of the tourists and the tour groups. Two is that the mosques actually close for prayer time. Now, you can just look up the mosque and see exactly what time they're closed for prayer time, but the lines get really long when people don't realize that they're going to be closed. The line backs up, and it's just something that you want to avoid. And note that you will have to take off your shoes before entering, and they've got these cubbies where you can just keep them, but the tip here is actually bring a pair of socks, because if you're anything like me, it just doesn't feel the best walking around on like this sweaty carpet where everybody else is either barefoot or have their sweaty socks. So it might feel cleaner to just have that spare pair and pop those on when you're leaving the mosques, but definitely check those out. And then the last thing I want to give you tips about is just which...
He did not say. You would think this guy's walking around wearing shorts.
Yeah.
area of town to stay in depending on what you're looking for. So, few big areas. There's the faith area, which is where most of the big mosques are going to be, and you're going to be really close to a lot of the main tourist attractions. It's a beautiful area, definitely a little bit touristy, but it's on the European side and there's nothing wrong with it. Perfectly fine place to stay. Then you have like the Galata Tower area, and to be honest, I think that's a little bit too touristy. You're going to be fighting the hills the whole
really
time.
Cool, though.
Probably not my first recommendation. Maybe somewhere else in Chihanger, which is kind of hugs the water and you don't have to walk up as many hills. So similar area, it's still going to put you in the heart of all the action. And Chihanger has great nightlife. Chihanger has a few areas where you're like right up along the water.
Probably
easy
not.
access to the ferries and other public transportation. Great street food. Really fun place to be, especially if you want to have that nightlife. If you want to have that nightlife experience, but do note that it is definitely noisy. There's also a neighborhood called Chihanger? Chihanger? Yeah, I don't know. Locals correct me. Sorry if I botched that pronunciation, but Chihanger was a really, really cool neighborhood on the European side that felt very local. It was a little bit quieter, didn't have any tourists. It was really, really nice and is kind of close-ish to the Taksim Square, provides easy access. I'd really recommend there if you have a longer stay and you want to experience that local culture. Now, Taksim Square, I didn't love. I really wouldn't recommend anybody staying up there. I get that it gets a lot of publicity and people think that it's the great area to stay. For me, in my opinion, I just didn't think so. I thought it was pretty touristy, nothing too special. I'd probably avoid that area as a whole, but the place that I wouldn't avoid is the Asian side, specifically Kadıköy, and more specifically a neighborhood called Moda. Moda was just unlike anywhere else that we experienced in Istanbul. Really quiet, really local feel, so many young people, a lot of great restaurants, fun energy.
Carrefour Mini.
It's the area that I will be staying the next time I come back, and it's where I spent basically all of my time. So highly recommend making sure to get over to the Asia side. Now, if you're wanting to learn more about what you're going to love and might even hate about Istanbul, don't worry, I got you covered.
Well, now we know some tips. I don't know if was that multiple tips saying each neighborhood not to stay in out of his 19 tips?
Yeah, true. That wasn't 19. No way, right?
I don't think so. It went very quick, but I don't know. We know some things now, but not that much still.
So we're obviously going to need some more tips, so let us know in the comments below anything else we need to know about Istanbul or for the rest of the country, because we hopefully just won't go to Istanbul. We want to explore more places.
We're not one of those tourists unless we're doing a vlog series and we end up just in the main city. But we like to go out. I mean, when we were planning to go to Turkey a few years ago, we were going to go into some very interesting areas, and that didn't end up happening, and now we're here.
Let us know what like the rental car policies are like for Istanbul, if there's anything we need to know, because that would be a fun road trip.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Can you imagine if we like had to go through one of these streets in a rental car?
Oh my gosh, we would have to like find a company on the outskirts of Turkey, and then we're not staying in any other big cities. When we go to Ankara, we're only staying on the outside.
You would think the airport has a highway that goes around the city, right?
Yeah.
That'll be our best bet. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.